welcome to Gratitude Space Radio. Thank you for being on today.
Chris, I'm so excited to be here. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you too. This is, it's our friendship coming about and everything is just, it seems like it's been immersed in gratitude, and now we get to spend this morning together. And I can't honestly think of a better way to start my day. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I feel the same way. Absolutely.
Thank you. Can you, so for people that don't know you, Hilary, could you share some stuff about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am Hilary Russo. I am the Holistically Speaking health coach. And that's been a journey in its own right. I mean, I'm certified in integrative nutrition, holistic health, but also I'm a emotional well-being practitioner of a modality called havening techniques. So it alters your thoughts, moods, and behavior through touch and pleasant distraction, which I absolutely adore and do every day. I might even be doing it while I'm sitting here, but I do that. And I'm also a journalist. I've been a journalist for over 25 years, and I found that I could fuse my passion with my purpose by focusing on health and wellness related stories, so that it's all about storytelling, as you know, right? Sharing stories, empowering stories, holding space for people to share their stories, because we all have one. And that's what creates healing. That's where the gratitude comes from, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I totally, even as of yesterday, just it's so relatable. Just to allow people to talk and allow people to feel like they're seen, you know, and then they have these stories, and just it's a gift to be able to give that to somebody when you know that's what can happen, you know.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my father came over because a friend of a friend is doing this project where she's just interviewing, people in their 80s and people in their 70s. And my dad just got to sit down and like be heard for like 2 hours. And I was just floored that somebody, you know what I mean? To be able to be a cog in the wheel to set that up, because I understand how much that means to him. You know, it was such a
Absolutely.
gift.
Especially for the older generation, a lot of times they're dismissed. And I had a really empowering conversation with a friend of mine who is as an osteopathic doctor working with the geriatric age. And we had a really great conversation about how that generation tends to not be heard anymore. It's almost like sometimes going back to childhood, where you feel like you're not heard as a child, especially if they're older and they might be living in a senior facility, or, you know, maybe there's onset dementia moving in, or just they get older and cranky. You know, people are like, oh, that's just grandpa. Oh, that's just mom doing her thing. But the thing is, if we just take time to listen, there are some really amazing stories that we can get from no other generation. So holding space for the older generation can be the most empowering, because they've got the longest book with all the chapters, you know?
Right.
And it's gratitude for them.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
And, my father, cause my mom passed away. So it's, him just being able to have a conversation with just somebody outside of like my sister, you know what I mean? You have your staple people, but having somebody new, I guess it's almost like when you talk to somebody new, it's like, they don't know your stories.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know your baggage. They don't know any of that. So it's almost like you can walk in and you're almost naked in a sense, because you don't have any of these fears. There's nothing tied to it other than, here we are. This is a good I'm just here with you and you're listening, and that's beautiful, because I don't have any, you know what I mean? It's like he didn't know Gail, so therefore it was just an engagement with a stranger, and he's great with that. He's a talker, so it was really great. Yeah.
It's one thing to sit there, and it's something that I tell my students all the time. I'm also a college professor, and I teach broadcasting and journalism. I teach compassionate journalism is what I call it, even though that's not the technical name of the class, but I instill that in my students because it is a lost art. And I tell them, I said, there's a big difference between hearing and listening. And there's certainly a difference between listening and active listening. And when you just take time to sit and listen and find that there is value in the story that's being shared, it provokes new types of questions instead of the ones that we're already going into thinking we're going to ask prior. It creates a whole different conversation. It creates human connection. And it says your story's valid, and I want to know what you have to share, you know? And that's really, that's the meat and potatoes right there, you know, the human connection and being able to truly share on a deeper level. As you and I know how we met through,
Right.
you know, the gate group, but also having a friendship with Chris Shembra
Mm-hmm.
from, you know, just from the 747 Club, which is all about the sauce is the human connection. It couldn't be any more simple than that, you know? So yeah, it's really just holding space for people to share their stories.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and like I said, it was just such a gift that I could be part of that. And because I got to see that, it actually then sprung ideas in my mind to, I know how much he loves telling his stories, and I and he was a teacher for a lot of years, so I know. I think that if I just said, let's film just with my phone, like let's just film like little segments of you telling your stories, I think that would, he would love that. And I would get a lot of fulfillment out of doing that. That'd be his way of feeling like he's, you know what I mean? Like he's sharing these
Yeah.
stories, and they're actually in a space. They're not going to, disappear with him, and I like to hear them. So, and it's simple, right? We all have phones. Like this is anything you do for anybody that
Yeah.
you feel like we want it. It's so easy now. It isn't like back in the day. It's so easy.
And it's a generation soon to be lost when we think about it. I mean, you and I have both lost a parent. I lost my dad almost 18 years ago. And my brother and I have this like saying that we go to when we might get a little upset at our mom, or we are a little agitated by something, we get like that. We're like, oh, mom does this, or oh, dad does that. And every time we have one of those moments and we're on the phone with each other and we're kind of like, ugh, that thing that happened, one of us will say, LRP, LRP. And that's all we say, and it stops. And LRP is last remaining parent, because it's that moment of, you better be grateful she's still here. You better be
Right.
grateful he's still here. And all it is LRP, and suddenly LRP changes the whole trajectory of the and then we have a moment of gratitude for our mom, because it's such small stuff that might be irritating us, or it's going back to the inner child, because we always are the inner child, as I share with my clients all the time. If we're not nurturing the child, instead of always trying to nurture the adult that's upset by something, that's the real healing starts with the child sitting in the adult chair, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's interesting you say that about the storytelling, because there's a quote I love. I have to pull it up, that I remember, because my dad was notorious for always telling stories over and over and over and over, and
Uh-huh.
laughing till
I get
tears
that.
tears fell in his eyes. Like I would sit there, like as a teenager, like rolling my eyes, like, oh, I've heard those a million times, daddy. But when I lost my dad, there was a movie that came out soon after. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. It came out a year after my dad died. Big Fish. Did you see Big Fish?
Yes, it did. It's a beautiful movie.
That movie hit me the first time I saw it, and hits me every time I saw it, because it's the movie about the relationship between the boy and his son. I mean, the father and his son, and the son's just like, ugh, dad's stories are so fabricated. But the moral of that story
Mm.
was that the stories were fabricated because, to a little kid, he doesn't want to hear that his dad is a knife salesman.
Right.
So the point of that story is, a man tells his stories so many times that he becomes them, and then he becomes immortal, and they live on after him, because the stories that they tell might feel differently when we're at a different age, but we're going to be so grateful to have those stories later to tell and laugh about the person and their time with us on the planet, than be like, ugh, that story again. And then we're telling his stories or her stories, and that's gratitude right there, keeping them
That's
alive.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I even think, going, my mind flips to the idea, it's like I may have heard the story 100 times, but I know one day I'm going to miss hearing the story. No, I
Exactly.
mean, so let's turn that, like, that, oh, I've
Turn
heard
it
it too.
around.
I'm going to totally miss, I know, you know, I know one day I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss
Right.
hearing this story, whatever it is, you know.
You can miss the
So I try
story.
to
Yeah.
remember that if I start to get peeved for some silly reason, you know, because I've heard it, or, you know, because I'm putting myself in the mix of it, opposed to just appreciating it. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
about
very
me when it's not.
it's
You know?
very easy to go to the ego. It's very easy to go to that place where we're agitated and annoyed by something, but it's just as easy to come back and find a moment of gratitude and be like, I am so glad that I had this person here to hear their voice, sharing it in their way, you know, or I'm glad they're here that I can give them a hug when we're able to
Right,
hug,
right,
or just the smell that they have, or the just the inflection in their voice and the connection of being able to look at them. Thank goodness I have that now, because in some time you're not going to have that. You're going to have to reflect on it. You're going to have to watch videos or sit around a table, and it's wonderful to do that too, and reflect
right.
on a person, and find the true gratitude for that person if they're not there, and keep their story alive, like in the quote in the movie. But so much better to have them here, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. The time is special, and
Yeah.
if we appreciate where we're at, we can slow down enough to realize that the moment is beautiful. Whatever it is, it's a beautiful thing to cherish. So in this moment, simplistically, what are 3 things you're grateful for?
3 things I'm grateful for. I'm always grateful for the breath that I breathe. I'm grateful for human connection, and I'm grateful that I'm healthy and well, and the people I love are healthy and well, you know. So,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
yeah.
My part of my morning practice, the end of my gratitude journaling, I write down health, and then mentally in my mind, I say and see this long list of people that I'm just grateful that they're you know, they have well-being.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm in the list too, but you know, I go through that. It allows me just to be in a place to go. I realize that I'm so fortunate that I have so many people in my life that I love and love me, and that they're healthy.
Yeah.
Just the fact they're healthy, which I think is very easily overlooked if you don't think about it, because it's
Yeah.
the way it is for a lot of people, you know. So it's so important.
Especially with what we're facing right now, and we can go this way with our thought process, or we can go this way with our thought process. And you know, we're human. We have these moments. We have this lovely little thing in our brain called the amygdala. She loves to go to threat mode. Like we call her Amy in my practice. And if
Okay.
we don't nurture Amy, she's going to be like, what's going on? Pandemic. Oh, this upset, whatever. And we need to realize how to nurture her and take her down and be like, you know what, girl, it's good. It's good. Like I have my health. I'm happy. I have a roof over my head. Every morning I wake up, I have a beautiful little kitty next to me. I have good friends that care about me, people that want to have conversations and connect with me. That's beautiful. And then I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for all that I have, because we have to take care of self first, you know, in order to be
Right.
good for others. I'm so glad that I'm surrounded by good people, and I have a loving family and friends, and I'm glad they're healthy too. I'm grateful for that. So it starts within, but then it's a ripple effect, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's so important and so overlooked most of the time. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we just got to state it. So whoever hears this, they'll either agree with us or it'll make them think. You know. So
I'm all about making people think.
yeah,
Thought-provoking conversations are my jam. So,
yeah, it's wonderful. So if you know what simplistically, what would be your definition of gratitude?
oh, that's simple. Love. I mean,
Love.
without
Okay.
even thinking about it, I mean, you have to have love first. Gratitude to me is love and kindness and compassion for self and for others. Gratitude is about being, in the simplest terms. You know, we have this tendency to go to thought all the time first, like think. We go right to the brain, and it really is about feeling. You know, feeling and thinking connect, but we need to feel. And like you said, you wake up, you do your gratitude journal. I wake up, I do mine as well. I sit and I do meditation every morning. And I think it's really just being present and like filling the space with love first, because then you can emit that, you know.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
it's powerful. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you just gratitude, your definition, love. That was really, I love that. I love that. That was great. I was talking to somebody last night, and, anybody wanting to get into a gratitude practice, it's really very simple, and it's just about making a conscious decision at some point in your day to make, I'm going to, like he was saying, like for example, it could be as simple as putting a sticker on your mirror in your bathroom. So when you get up to, get up, you just say, it's good to say, what are you grateful for? And then hopefully maybe in your mind, you say three things just to start. So, like you said, we get up and we have a practice, but the practice would be so simple for anybody if they just choose to make, I'm going to make this part of my day. It can take 10 seconds, but it's part of my day. I think that's just so important to, again, create space. We're saying create space for gratitude,
Yeah.
create space for love. It's for appreciating your life. Create space to appreciate your life.
And,
if it's your cat, the roof over your head, or,
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about the creating space for it. It's there. I mean, life is abundant, and we limit ourselves. And that was a change in my thought process I had to go through as well. I mean, it is a practice. If you're not brought up thinking that way, and we come into this earth just perfect, right? It's all that's around us that kind of like messes us up. We've all been through stuff. I mean, my whole idea with what I do and what I share with my clients, what I share on my podcast, Holistically Speaking, all of that is like we in some way have gone from trauma to triumph. It's the transformation, but it takes time and it's practice. And I think that's the space for love and gratitude is abundant. We need to stop limiting ourselves and thinking that there's only this amount of space for this and this amount of space for that. It's not like you're filling a checkerboard or something. It's there for the taking. But it's also there for the giving.
Right.
More you have, the more you have to give. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so true. I love that. So this is a kind of a gratitude experiment, which I'm really happy that I started the podcast, because trying to write this out would never work because people overthink things. So the simplest thing is, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I just want you to answer with one word, like one name. Okay. And don't say anything else until I ask you into a little more here. So when you hear the term somebody in my life I'm grateful for, what name comes into your head?
Mom.
Okay, I love that. Now let's do it again, because I want to go another layer deep. Somebody in your life you're grateful for.
David, my brother.
David, okay. We're going to go one more layer deep. Somebody in my life we're grateful for.
My dad.
Okay, there we go. So I asked that because great thing is you just got to do three things, which is wonderful. But I wanted to get to the person that you don't normally isn't the first person that pops in, because it's all random. It's not about, obviously there's no like degree of this person's better than that. This is like who shows up. So now you said it and you had a really beautiful smile on your face. I want you to tell me some things you're grateful for about your dad. I just want you to share some love for your dad right now. I'd love it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the first two people are still here. My father's no longer here on this plane. Things I'm grateful for about my dad. My dad taught me that disability doesn't mean inability. My father was a severe diabetic, died when I was 29 years old, had, heart attack, was wore a prosthetic leg, played minor league baseball in his early years and had a whole change in his life. Went into law and was a very successful lawyer, but with all that had the determination to just be the best he could be. and not let his disability get in the way of his ability to shine. My father, honesty. My father was probably one of the most honest and kind people, people that don't even know my dad or knew my dad for a very short period of time. When I talk about him, they're like, oh man, your dad was awesome. Or, wow, we know your dad through you. So that's the biggest compliment when I say, oh, I wish you met my dad. They're like, we have through you. And I'm like, like right there. Whoa. And my dad was just, he was just a warm person, warm and caring, and just a good man. And yeah, I mean, that's Stephen for you, Stevie.
I love that. Thank you. Thank
He's
you
with
so
me
much for
every day.
sharing them.
Yeah, he's always
Right.
with me. And I talk to him regularly, uh, but I also feel like when I have questions and I'm sitting in the silence and waiting for the answers, yes, I believe I have my guides and I have intuition in the universe, but I also feel like my dad's there. And there's that sense of like structure. He was like a little more of the structure of the two parents. My mom's more free spirited. So he's the one I go to for that. Let me figure this out in a structured kind of way. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I really love that. When I asked that question, I was talking with my friend Teddy, and he told me, he shared something so beautiful with me. His mom had, I believe it was MS for like,
Mm.
18 years or something like that. And that's how he knows her growing up. And what he expressed to me, which is almost like the other side of the coin with your father, this beautiful thing was, he said, basically, either I could be angry that she had this, and that could be what I think of my mother, or I could just love my mother because that's just a part of her. And I just love that thought process of, whatever that is, it's just part of who she is. And I love her. Just like your father had, with the prosthetic leg and all that, that wasn't who he was. That's
Mm-hmm.
just part of him. And he didn't make it. And so we're flipping it. He didn't make that who he was,
Mm.
because he was so much more than not having a leg. Like you said, I mean, with all the beautiful
Yeah.
things you said.
He didn't make that about himself. It never was about him.
Right.
You knew because of the way he walked, you knew
Right.
because of just, what he had to go through medically, but you didn't know from the man that was here, the brilliant
Right.
mind of my father, the one that laughed until tears came out of his eyes, like that was my dad. Great sense of humor. And, you didn't know because that's who Stephen was and still is. He's still everywhere. But it's also interesting that you bring that up about it not being him or her, whoever the person is, because I had a great conversation earlier this week with a group of people that are part of this empath group that I'm in. And we were talking about karma and how, people come to the planet and sometimes we feel really bad that they're going through something, and we're like, oh, we feel sorry for them. But like a lot of times those people don't know any different. Maybe they're born with uh, like they're on the spectrum, or they've lived their life never being able to see. And we're like,
Right.
oh, you feel bad for those people, but they're usually the happy people. They're embracing, especially kids. You're always like, wow, that child is dealing with that ailment, and they're just bright and shiny because they're living everything they possibly could be living. So really, maybe part of it is they're brought to this earth to teach us a lesson.
Right.
It's, and they're learning, they're here to be the lesson for us if we observe and we listen and we watch, and we don't come from this place of like our expectations about what their life should be. It doesn't mean not feeling compassionate and empathetic for somebody and what they're going through, because absolutely empathy and resonance is so important to see it from their eyes. But don't always feel so bad. Look at it and stay there with a moment and be like, what can I learn from this? Look at the joy that child is feeling, and they are a void of, like, they don't have any arms or something. And I have had a situation like that hit me when I was about 7 years old,
Oh, wow.
interestingly enough. Yeah. My mom, when I was a kid, did a lot of volunteering. We would do volunteering all the time because we had a pet goat, Kipper, and Kipper, yeah, it was a little Nubian goat that my mom saved at 4 years old because this goat was going to die. She found it at a pet store, and it was just sitting there not eating. And my mom nursed this goat back to health, brings it home. My dad, who grew up in New York City, was like, "What kind of dog is that?" Like, my dad had no idea, but whatever Bev brought home, Bev brought home. So we had Kipper for 4 years, and my mom trained Kipper to pull a goat cart, and we would go to fairs, like not fairs like big fairs, but like community days, or we would go to like the children's hospital, and she would
Oh, wow.
we would do philanthropic work where we would like let the kids pet Kipper, learn about the animal. He loved kids, ride on the go-kart in the back. He loved pulling kids around. And I remember once at the hospital, there was a child who had no arms. I'm sorry. Yeah, he had no arms, and he was throwing the ball with his feet and catching it with his feet, throwing it, and like giggling and laughing while he was sitting there on the ground. And then I started going up to him, and I was doing it as well. And that moment, this 7-year-old was like, that opened my eyes to things at a very young age, that the gratitude that child felt, I feel it right here, right now, that child, void of something I don't have, was filled with something I also didn't have. And the lesson was like, right. So those moments brought into my life at a young age, I think groomed me in a way for really being the empath and filled with gratitude in a lot of ways. Yeah.
That was beautiful. I was going to ask you your gratitude story, but I feel like you just really dug into a really big part of it. If you want to add more, you can. But sure. I really loved. I mean, that right there was a huge. What a gratitude story. What a gratitude part of your journey. You're welcome to continue if you want to. Obviously there's more there, but that right there was, wow.
I, when you told me, when we said we were going to talk, and you said, I might ask you a gratitude story, I've had others that I've mentioned, and I've actually never used that in context with, so I feel like maybe it's empowering just to leave it right there. I mean, as a child, probably one of my eye-opening experiences realizing what gratitude was, seeing that you can be in complete and utter joy with what you have, and not to put your own expectations on someone. I might have not known that's really all what it meant at the time, like looking back at it now, but I remember feeling like, wow, this kid's cool. He's throwing with his feet, and just the gratitude I had for that moment. As an adult, I think as a story, if you were to ask me that again, I had a really beautiful moment probably about 11 years ago where I wasn't living in New York yet. I came to New York. I was on the fence about New York, LA, New York, LA, being somebody in TV. I'm like, do I want to be a host in New York, or should I go to LA? And I was pulled, and I'm from the New York area. So to me, something said, come home, come home, come home. So I was in New York. I had just taken this course called the Landmark Forum. I decided to take it in New York. I could have taken it where I was living at the time in North Carolina, but for some reason I decided to take it at the headquarters in New York, which was probably part of the universe pushing me towards that journey to come here. And there's 3 days to the course, and there's the 2 days that are like intense, and you're in the room and you're connecting with people and you're doing stuff and you're waiting for yourself to pop and you're waiting to get it, right? And it can be very overwhelming sometimes. And there's a day you have off in between the weekend and the Tuesday you come back to kind of celebrate the graduation, right? So on that day in between, that Monday, I talked to my brother about it, who also did Landmark. I guess at the time it was called EST, which has changed dramatically. It's that it's in itself, a lot of people had a negative feeling about EST, but it's changed a lot. And my brother did it. My mom did Landmark. And my brother said to me, he goes, you know what, that day off, you need to do this one thing. you need to go to Hayden Planetarium at the Museum of Natural History, and you need to see like one of the space shows, because you will realize just how small you are in this world. You will, like, you're a speck of dust, and things just don't mean what you put, like you put too much on things, right? And then you need to
Right.
just walk around the city. So I did that. I went to Hayden. I spent the day by myself, and it was like another moment. I do that a lot. And just realizing, sitting up there and listening to Harrison Ford's voice, like voice over the entire thing. I'm sitting with my, you know, kicked back on these chairs so you could see the planetarium ceiling.
Right.
And I walked out of there like, whoa. And I've seen a million of those shows, you know, but there was something
Right.
about what just happened 2 days prior, being in the Landmark Forum and then doing that. And then I took a walk in the park. Literally, I went to Central Park, bought myself a pretzel on the street, because there's nothing like a hot New York pretzel in the fall and the winter. And I sat on a park bench next to a gentleman by the name of Bobby. And Bobby was tattered and older, maybe. I mean, gosh, who knows? He could have been my age. I don't even know, but he was very weathered. And I just decided to sit down next to him because everybody was passing him by. He was an older Black man, kind of looked like he could have been homeless. Probably, you know,
Right.
whether it doesn't even matter. But he didn't
Yeah.
look like someone that most people be like, why? That was the expression I got from people walking by. They were like, oh, stupid tourist. You know, I just got this feeling, and that's my own injection into it. But I feel like there were people that were just kind of like, I wouldn't be sharing your pretzel with that guy, you know, and I didn't. And I was like, whatever, you know. I sat there and I talked to Bobby, and I had the most beautiful conversation with this man who was a vet from the Korean War. So I guess he was older than me. And
Right.
yeah. And I shared half my pretzel with him and sat with him for about a half hour. And in that moment, I feel like I learned so much about kindness from another person. And I guess I shared it with him as well because I gave him my time. And if we just realized how important time is to people, I walked away from that and you know, shared the pretzel. He shared my first name. He shared his, shared a little bit of our story. And he was like, I remember him saying, goes, because I told him I was on my struggle of like, do I move to New York to LA? He's like, you'll know. And I'm like, Bobby, Guru Bobby over here, you
Yeah.
know, he's
Right.
lived his life. And I feel like as much as I was able to give him my time, the kindness that he gave me back was like tenfold. So wherever Bobby is, and I hope he's alive and well, thank you, Bobby. That's my adult story, I think.
That was beautiful. That's a story of kindness too. Like the end, like you said at the
Yeah.
end. So that's the gratitude and kindness
Yeah,
going hand in hand. And
they do.
it's that was really beautiful. I loved how that the course primed you, and then your brother gave you some direction, and then
Yeah.
you end up. The story's really great because you end up in the park with Bobby, and you have this experience that you never would have had unless all these other things aligned to lead you to be in that moment with your pretzel in the park. You know, to have this amazing conversation. My father the other day told me he was in the mall and he saw a woman, an elderly woman with a dog. It was a rescue dog, like a greyhound, and he just ended up sitting down with her and just basically was, you know, engaged her about her dog. And it's very similar in the sense that she got to just share. It was almost, I explained it to her, I said, it's almost like you said to her, you know, what are you grateful for in your life? Because she just started talking about this dog and how much she loved the dog. And when we share space to let people speak their minds, speak their hearts, especially when they're talking about things they love, like it's a gift to both of us. You know, it's a gift to the person that gets to listen to it. And it's such a gift just to, like when you were talking about your father, we went through that gratitude experience. When you said these people's names, I could read the happiness in your face, you know,
Yeah.
and I feel that because that's real.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
so
glad.
real. Oh yeah, thank you. It's why I'm so about asking people what they're grateful for and who they're grateful to, because it just brings me, I get to see it, this creation come out that has nothing to do with me, and I get to take it all in. and it's a beautiful thing. I
It is
do.
a beautiful thing.
With over 50 different perspectives and stories on gratitude, this book captures what most books don't. The secret sauce is in the number of voices and stories where you'll be sure to find a personal connection to so many as I did. A really excellent book, David Freeman. Found exclusively on Amazon.com.
Beautiful thing. I feel that too when I do my podcast, just being able to sit and listen. And I just hold space for people to share their stories because it's empowering what we can learn from just listening. And you take something away from it yourself. I mean, it's a sense of a real positive selfishness in a way. But I
Mm-hmm.
also I love to, there's a quote out there that is sometimes your story will be somebody else's survival guide.
Right.
Love
That's
that.
right.
It's so true, and I think about that all the time when every day I'm like, all right, I've got my own stuff. And if my stuff and my story could be somebody else's survival guide one day, and they realize they can get over whatever they're facing, or they find solace in it, or they find comfort and they find resilience or inspiration in it, I've done my duty. I'm thinking, and there you go. But I don't do it with the mindset that, oh, I hope I'm giving something to someone. You
Right.
just do. You
Right.
do it from being. You do it from being. It's the be, do, have philosophy. By being who we are, we tend to do, and in that is where we have. So can't go the opposite way. Can't go have, do, be.
Oh
You
no,
have to
you
go
can't.
got to go be, do, have.
Well,
That was actually
it's
something I learned in Landmark. I remember. Yeah.
I love that, and that's when we were starting out, it's very similar to I just want to have, it's just like this conversation is the best part of it. Everything else is just what happens, right? We get to have this beautiful conversation. We talk about gratitude. We share stories. This is what it's all about. And then the cool thing is we can release it. We can let it fly, and it's going to do whatever it wants. And I'm not tied to it whatsoever. I'm not. I'm going to assist in pushing it off the ledge so that it can go. But this is, the conversation and being this is where it's at. This is the most important thing right here. Everything else
Absolutely.
is just, it's going to land where it is. I have no control over that. All I can do is release it. But this is what, if we don't do this, then there's no flight. There's no nothing, without this, there's nothing to, we're pulsating this out into the world. But we have to have this connection first, and then we just release it. And you have a podcast, you understand that idea, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. And human connection, there's nothing more powerful than that. I mean, it's so important to connect with others and open your possibilities up to connecting with people you might not normally connect with, like the Bobbies and the little boy at the children's hospital. Or they don't have to be people only in your own circle. Expand the circle. Expand the circle. If I could say one thing, expand the circle, because and expand it in a way where with what you put out, you're going to get back, so I'm very careful about toxicity in my life, removing those that are not adding anything positive to the space. That took work, and I can kind of read it now. I can read if that person, okay, it's not that you don't talk to them. It's not that you don't have conversations with them. We can't take everybody toxic out of our lives. We might work with toxic people. We're going to deal with toxic people every day, but they don't have to be part of our everyday, let your vibe attract your tribe kind of thing. Right. But there is a way that we don't have to let it like permeate into our cells, and we don't have to take it in. We can be like, all right, I recognize that person for who they are, and I send them love and light, and I hope they figure it out. And this is all the space I really have to give them.
Right. And that's because you can do that because you love yourself and you understand.
Yes. And that's so important, Chris. I wish people understood that more. And I find that I face that a lot with clients that see me, especially the ones dealing with relationship issues, keep falling in the same patterns, the cyclical patterns of the toxic relationships. And if you do not truly value who you are, and you don't, if you're not taking responsibility for your part in allowing that to come into your life, then you're constantly going to let that come into your life. It's not about, well, I'm a good person, why aren't I attracting the good people? Okay, you might be an amazing person, but until you realize that you have to love this first, you could still be attracting people that need more than you have to give, you know.
Right.
Like, you know, like they say that it's very common for like an empath type person to attract a narcissist, because the empath is always trying to heal people and help people. And I get it, I'm an empath, I'm in the healing arts,
Right.
but I've had to be really careful. And I've been in that type of situation before, because we constantly want to heal and help. And what can I do to help this wounded animal or revive that dead plant? I need to stick with plants. That was a kind of funny conversation I had recently. I tend to be that person that goes to the plant store. I'm like, oh, that one looks like it needs help. And I'll like bring it back to life. And I had a conversation with one of my mentors who was like, so maybe you should just focus on the plants instead of trying to save the people, you know, as far as like relationships, being in something with someone. That was a big eye opener for me a while back. And I'm like, yeah, I can be here to help them in their healing, but to take it all in and feel like I can fix someone, people need to have the tools to fix themselves, and they have to be
Right.
open
Because
to it.
we can't fix anybody. Yeah. All we
Nope.
can do is work on us. Yeah.
We can give them the tools. That's one thing
Right.
I tell them. I
Yeah.
said, I have the tools, and if you're willing and you're open and you are wanting to make this investment into your emotional well-being and living a powerful life, let me share with you the tools that put the power in your own hands, and let me be your guide in that process. You know,
Right.
you can be and that's empowering when you give someone the tools to realize that they have the control. It can be a little
Right.
scary at first, but it's like, no, I'm here. I'm good. I'm not going to just throw you to the wolves. But the minute they realize how empowering it could be to feel the sense of healing and growth and abundance and a total mindset change, then it becomes a practice, and then it just becomes a thing that you do, you know. It's the be you have, you know. So
That's beautiful. And I know our time's getting close to an end here. I really loved you sharing that. I just wanted to make sure, you know, in closing, I like to always ask my guests
sure.
if they have any just simplistic ideas or like habits that people wanting to invest more time in gratitude, like what suggestions, you know, daily suggestions, things
Sure.
that people could do that just come to mind.
I think we both are on the same page about waking up every morning before you even put your feet on the floor. Pause, pause, pause in the moment, and just think 5 things to yourself that you're grateful for. Some people don't want to journal. I get it. I have people that are so resistant to it that I work with, and I'm like, all right, not everyone's a journaler. But if you
Right.
can just have the thought, put the thought in your mind, and you'll feel it. Have 5 gratitude moments, and it doesn't have to be anything deep. It can be like, I love my sheets. I love my
Right.
purring cat. I love the fact that I don't have to be at work till 10 today, or whatever it is. Just
Right.
5 of the first thoughts that come to you. It will change the trajectory. It will put you on that course. And I think another thing is just, you know, be present. And if you feel like you need help, ask. You know,
Right.
if you feel that you need to, you're struggling with something, okay, who's not? Don't be afraid to reach out to someone that can help you. You know, that's the work I do. And I do it in the most loving, compassionate way. And that, just find the joy in little things, even if it's just taking a walk every day, and you notice like, oh, there's a pretty little butterfly on that tree, or you notice a new bird going by, or like just feeling the wind. These are joyful things. We don't have to go for the huge things. Find it in the little things first, And that will set the pace for everything in your life to manifest, you know? That's where we go positive. Yeah.
Yes, and it's I love the idea of you're waking up and you're priming your brain for to have a good day. Bottom line is I do that. You know, I wake up and my device, my Amazon device says, you know, how's today? It says today's going to be a great day, and then it says to me, "What are you grateful for?"
Yeah, and there's a lot of apps out there too.
Oh
There's
yeah, yeah.
I have an app called I Am, and every hour it'll send me a and it goes I Am, and I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
oh, I love it. I love this app, and it's
I have to
free.
check that out.
Yeah, I Am. There's so many apps like that. I mean, you can purchase some, and then there's some that have the free aspect to them. But the I Am app I love because it pops up on my phone, and it'll be like, I am creating abundance in my life, right? And you can set some, or you can write some yourself. But it's just really, it's a reminder. We have to stay in positive affirmations. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's kind of woo-woo. No, it's not. You're changing your brain. I mean, I work in a field of neuroscience. The brain is a powerful tool. As a Havening techniques practitioner, my whole thing is about being. My whole thing is about how you can create the positive, the happy chemicals in the brain by doing touch and pleasant distraction. And when you create those happy chemicals through the touch, it can actually disconnect any of those traumas and those upsets from the actual thing that you're feeling. And it's really quite amazing when you think about it. I mean, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but you know, Havening is based on neuroscience. It is a psychosensory modality. And like, if you have a moment where, if you're triggered by something that you're constantly triggered by, like say you're in a car accident, and every time you pass that same spot, you get triggered, right? And it's almost like something comes up and it fuses it like gluten, and then it goes away. But then that next time you pass that spot, it comes up again. The whole idea of havening is that when you haven and you work with a practitioner, and you can also learn self-havening, which I can share more with that. You actually are disconnecting it, because what happens is it creates the oxytocin, serotonin, the dopamine in the brain by the action of the havening, by the pleasant distraction, the calcium neurons, which are like the awesome chemicals. And it disconnects when you're doing the process of havening, so that it can't reconnect, and you look at things differently. The events still happen, the upset's still there, but you don't look at it the same way. And that's the beauty of havening in neuroscience. So I do havening every day too. I wake up in the morning and I'm doing my gratitude, and I'm in my pleasant place, and it completely changes my day. And I'll do it a couple times a day, because little things aggravate us, right? So yeah, so that's something that sits with me pretty deeply too, is my practice.
I'm glad you could explain that a little more.
Yeah.
You know, again, I know you have to get going soon. So if you could, where's the best place for people to reach out to you and connect with you?
Sure. Well, I mean, my website. Yeah. So my website is hilaryrusso.com, and you can connect with me there, and you can find information about my podcast, HIListically Speaking, which is available on all podcast platforms. And I'm also really grateful to have this opportunity. And I do want to share with folks that if you connect with me, I know you're going to share this link as well. I'm going to be sharing, this is my gift, that I'm going to be sharing an intro to self-havening, which is my gift to those who sign up for my Thrive Hive. And there'll be a link that I know you're going to share on that. And by signing up for the Thrive Hive, you have access to just getting some happy stuff, you know, like good chemicals, good information about havening. I put it out every week, and then you get the inside scoop to my podcast, HIListically Speaking, before it even is released. And yeah, and then a discovery session. I'm going to throw that in there too. So people, if they have questions about my health coaching or my havening techniques practice, I'm gifting a discovery call for folks. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Hilary. I'll make sure that all that, so when this comes out, all the things she's talked about will be links in the show notes. So
yeah, it's hard to say all the links, so I'm just kind of giving roundabout, but whatever I can do to create the space for people to live powerfully and realize that you can put the power in your own hands to live well and just be well. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Hilary. And I'm Chris with Hilary Russo, and that was Gratitude Space Radio.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Did I talk too much?
No, it was great. It was great.
I'm a talker.
I was just kept looking at the clock, so I wanted to make sure we had time to do the birthday thing. I'm always trying to be conscientious of other people's times. But because I feel like we could, if there was no constraints, you and I could talk probably forever until we're like, okay.
Yeah, and I have a 12 o'clock appointment, so I know you're being mindful of time. I should have told you that because I could have. I mean, obviously, I could have gone a little longer. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I would love to. There's no reason why we can't do this again, just because
Sure.
I enjoy doing it. You had there were some really great stories there. Really, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course.
You sharing about your dad was really beautiful, and the story with the man in the park, and the child when you were 7. I mean, those are really great, poignant, like really good stories that just brought. There's a lot of gratitude there. It was really beautiful. And I could see it and feel it the whole time. So I'm excited that when we get around to doing this podcast release, I can get videos of just you sharing those 3 stories,
Oh,
so I will.
I would,
they will be their own little segments because, I just want people to hear that stuff. And, it's a home run. As soon as if they can see it, hear it, then it's happened. The space has been created.
The cool thing is that it's giving back to me too. Because, it's like what we were talking about with the story, the big fish story. I love being able to share where I can keep the people that are close to me who might no longer be on this plane, keep them alive, and that's important to me because yeah. And I know you feel that way with your mom, so any chance I have. Oh
yeah, it's so beautiful. When you told me before, I think the first time we talked, you said, I'm going to write my mom something because of your story, which made me feel amazing. And then my friend Peter in Hong Kong, his birthday's coming up next week, and he said, because of your story, I'm going to gift. He's into like BMX stuff because he was a biker when he was younger, so he bought like a sport coat with like the checkered stuff for his dad, like a scarf for his mom that are going to be given to them on his birthday. Isn't that cool? Yeah. I was like, and he's just like, because your idea there made me think I should be, let me do a little pulsating outwardly on my birthday, and it's just knowing that, again, that's just because I wrote my mom a letter 6 years ago,
That's
just
so
because my mom,
empowering.
you know what I mean? Just because my mom being who she was, that's really what it was, right? It's because she was, just because I was fortunate enough to have her as a being a son to her, and just took an opportunity to appreciate her, right?
Totally.
And I was thinking of our time. Let me say one more thing. I'm sorry. When you were sharing, I was really wanting to tell the story. My mentor, my biggest, the man who's believed in what I've been doing all this last 6 years. The only reason I met him was because he wrote an article in Inc. magazine about gratitude, about appreciating a coach that was his wrestling coach when he was a child that he ran into 20 years later. And the amazing thing about that was yesterday I wrote a gratigram to the guy, Kevin, who sent me, because he thought about me, right? He sent me this article and said, you should check this out, right? So what I'm trying to say is like, we just never know what you're saying. You never know what you're putting out in the world, what's going to land. He just wrote this article for Inc. magazine about appreciation. And then because I had friended Kevin kind of through Twitter, through gratitude, Kevin thanks me and sends it. And then here we are 6 months later, and I have this amazing friend who's been my mentor and just, who believed, you know what I mean? Like, because he decided I'm going to share gratitude, and he just put this story together. Isn't it amazing?
That is awesome. That just makes you smile,
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like, and if I hadn't written my mom the letter, I would never have met Kevin. I wouldn't have been looking, you know what I mean? Like
synchronicity.
It's just these people sharing this goodness, you just don't know where it's going to land. Somebody will listen to our podcast we had, and it's going to spark something in somebody. It will happen.
I hope so.
It will. We may never know about it, but it will, because
that's right. We may never know about it because that's the selfish side of it. Like we want to see the return, the ROI, but it's like, no, the ROI is just putting it out there and knowing you did it.
Right. Yeah. Because we can't control the rest of it.
That's why
yeah.
No, go ahead. We can talk for hours, I have a feeling.
No.
You know what I
Yeah.
wanted to do? I wanted to get a picture real quick,
Oh, yeah, sure.
so that I can just say, hey, we talked, this will be in the future episode or whatever. But can I just get us
Yeah.
like, yeah, all right. So let me do this. 1, 2, 3. That's great. Let me get the one the other way too, so I can use it for a story. I think I know it. Can you do story? How do you do it like top on top of each other?
Oh, you want to get it? I gotcha. Yeah, I don't. I think the only way you could do that is if you minimize your screen and then you were to drag. You know what I mean? Like you were to make your one screen and then drag your image above it.
Yeah, I did it the other
I've never.
day. I can do speaker view, and then there's the hold on. Oh wait, maybe I just figured it out. Hold on a second. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because I know I did it with Brian. I just don't ever remember how I do stuff sometimes. Sometimes I just forget. Hold on a sec. All right. Move us there. I think that, like you said, drag it. I see what you're saying. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to capture it. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's see how this looks. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that looks good. Perfect. I'll figure it out.
And you've given me an idea. I should start doing that with my guests because that'd be fun to have like a scrapbook even, you know?
Yeah, and I just try to do that so that I can, let me take one more because I realized my eye was blinking. I can't see without my glasses. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to do it again. Hang tight. Let me take my glasses off. Yeah, it's good because then you can like use it with your, let's say your Instagram. Like today I'll post, I'll be like, had a great conversation with Chris Palmore of the Gratitude Space Radio, and it's not the post, or it could be, but it lets people, it's kind of like a coming up, you know, that's me in the TV world, you know, I'm already.
I love that. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great
just
idea.
To give people, you know, you want to build your audience. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay. One of those will work, I'm sure. Great. Yay. Okay.
Excellent. Well, can we do the birthday real
quick?
Oh,
I'm sorry. I forgot. We have to do your thing. And I don't, that's what I'm here to do, your thing. Hold on 1 second. Let me move that over so I can see you. Yes, let's do the birthday thing. So what do I do?
Well, I'm just gonna, you know, I'll take a breath again, and then I'll just lead you in, and I'm just gonna give you I'm basically gonna give you the floor, and then you just, you know, say something like, you know, on this birthday, I want to, you know, whatever you feel like you're saying. Yeah. It's just the idea is that we're doing this right now, and the cool thing is next March, this is going to be a surprise to you because you're probably going to forget about it, and this is a gift to somebody else, right? So the cool thing is you're whoever and you can direct it towards several people if you want to, or one. It's completely your bag. You know what I mean? It's just I'm just giving you a platform on your birthday to share a little gratitude. And again, this is going to be, you know, 9, you know, whatever it is, 6 months from now.
March 30th is a ways away. It's like 10 months away. So it should be it most likely is one person though, right?
It's what you want to do. It's totally, it's, you know, I had somebody who just went through a long list, and that's fine because again, I don't want to like you know what I mean? Like, and then I had another person just talked about her partner, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then I had another person that said very little, but we had a really long discussion, which is, we've already had the long discussion. So it's really, I mean, honestly, it's completely what you want to do. And you just be wary of how, if you're just like.
And you're asking me?
I'll lead you in, and then we'll just go, and then.
How much time do I have?
Oh, you know, honestly, you could talk as long as you want, but if 5-10 minutes is fine.
Oh, okay. Will you be interjecting? I mean, will you be also chatting with me about it, or is it just me like, I'm grateful for this, and it's just me talking? No,
we can. If you take a breath, I can interject, and we can expand on things. But it's just supposed to be kind of a free thing, just to.
I didn't know if it was just like running off, like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. You know, I'm like 5-10 minutes. Okay.
Okay. It could be just a couple minutes, and it doesn't, it's not even about how long it is, right? It's really just,
right.
I mean, literally it could be 2 minutes.
Let's just go for it. Let's just be organic here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I'm just taking a breath here. Well, Hilary, welcome back to Gratitude Space Radio. It's good to see you again.
So great to be here. Thanks, Chris. I always enjoy being in the space with you on Gratitude Space.
Likewise, thank you. Well, today this is a birthday gratitude episode, and your birthday's coming up in the future, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity on this coming up birthday, for you to share a little appreciation and love for either a person or a few people in your life.
Yeah, there's a list, sure. I think without a doubt, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the beauty and the spirit that is my mom. She's amazing, and I love her every day, and I'm grateful for her every day, for the gift of laughter and love and nurturing and non-judgmental nature. I mean, my entire life she's been like that. Somebody who has been very supportive of both my brother and I, and just the humor. Goodness, my mother has a great sense of humor, and it's just, she's just love. People call her Mama Bev, people that aren't her mom, but she's a mom to so many, and she's a light, and she's been through a lot, and she still is a really beautiful being. So I wouldn't be here, Mom, if it wasn't for you. I am who I am because of you. So yeah, Beverly.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you did share with me that she just graduated from college last year, right?
She did. At 79 years old, or 70, just short of 79. She graduated, walked in the ceremony. She had been on that path for 60 years, took a break because the nurturing woman she is, she was taking care of my dad who was sick. She left at a young age to take care of my brother, and went back and forth and was trying to finish, and took a break to have a career and make a life. And then when you retire and you're like, what do I do? She picked up the mandolin again, and she was doing all these things that she wasn't really able to focus on because of life, family, doing, being, all that stuff, and said, I'm going to finish my degree. And I was like, yes, finally, because I had mentioned it numerous times, but nobody's going to do something unless they want to do it, and she finally did it. She took a couple courses a semester online, in the classroom. She's like this 70-something-year-old in the classroom with these 20-something-year-olds. And she walked in that ceremony at the arena in Hartford, Connecticut, because she graduated from Eastern Connecticut State University. And there she was walking with all the other people. Got a picture of her shaking the hand with the dean. And I'm like, these are the things they did for me, like walking in, like these were all the ceremonies my parents had to sit through all those years, those commencements and baccalaureates and all that. And I was so proud to be there with my mom and my mother's husband, just sitting there, like, just so proud of her for achieving something at that age and realizing that anything's possible. She's an inspiration. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I love the fact that the dynamic of, they sat through all this and here you are having this unique experience because your mom is so forward thinking and so into growing and is so into life and not death. That she and here you are watching her go. I mean, it's freaking beautiful. What a gift to you, just to have, and that, I mean, it's such a unique experience.
And then throwing her a graduation party when she
there you go.
My graduation party. She put on all this stuff for me. So it was so fun being the one my brother created the artwork for her graduation. I mean, it was so fun because my brother's an artist, creates this adorable cartoonish picture of my mom with her books and her graduation hat, and and the news covered her. Everybody thought it was such an inspiring story. She was in the newspaper, she was on TV, because they did a live shot in front of the auditorium of my mom. It was just like, wow, because she is an inspiration, and that's the energy she puts out there. And that's just the true story of, you can be and do anything you want to be and do, and you can have anything if you just have the mindset that you can do it. Just make the choice. That's the first thing, is the awareness, and make the choice, and then align yourself with that. So yeah, and I've learned a lot from that, because she has sat through a lot of stuff for me. All of my graduations, all of my shows that I did, because I was a professional actor. Even when I wasn't a professional, she sat through my other shows, and some of them were probably pretty brutal. So what can I give back to her is to hold space for her and everything she's creating in her life. Oh, Bev. That's
I
for Bev.
love that. You shared when we were talking before about how she just had a birthday, and that you put. Can you explain
Yes.
to people, give people ideas for ways to love other people on
Yeah.
their birthdays?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'd love to share that. So at this moment, we're going through something where we are social distancing, and we're not even, not able to see people. I've seen my mom once as of today. I've seen my mom once in 5 months, and my mom lives only 2 hours from me, but we're being so careful, and we're probably going to start socially distantly seeing each other. But because I couldn't throw her an 80th birthday party, because we couldn't congregate and just go out to dinner, even
Right.
to celebrate her, what I did was I reached out to all different people in her life from all different times in her life, family, friends, going back to like my first babysitter, even, that we still have a relationship with, because that's Bev. She just creates this circle of beauty, and people connect with her whole life. I reached out to everyone. I said, hey, we're not going to be able to see Bev, or, I want to do something a little special. Would you be willing to do a short video wishing mom well in whatever fashion is you and your relationship with her? And I'm going to put together a video. And that's what I did. And I put an amazing video together, which for me, it wasn't, I'm calling it amazing because my mom keeps saying that, and every day she's like, it's the best gift I ever got. I'm like, okay. But I work in television, I work in broadcasting. Me
Right.
editing, though it took some time, to me it was just it wasn't even because I just
Right.
wanted to do it. It wasn't work. I stayed up all night doing it, compiling who goes where, and the music that was written for her. My friend Lipone, who from listening to my podcast, wrote a song for her. And it was like 20 minutes of people just wishing their well to her, wishing well to her, happy birthday to her in their own unique way, and it was really beautiful. It was a project. It was a heart-centered project for sure. So that's an idea, folks. I mean, you don't always have to throw the big party, get the big cake, go out to eat. Those moments are great, but do something different. Think outside the box. I took a little extra time just because of my background. I was able to create that, but you can always find someone to help you. That's the other thing. Don't be
Right.
scared to ask for help. I can't write a song and play a guitar, but my friend Lipbone
Right.
can. And he was like, done, and did the song that day in his studio while he was recording something else. I mean, he probably that to him was like, just not a big, easy, right?
Right. Right.
Ask for help, ask for people to come together and celebrate life and gratitude and love. And you'll be surprised how easy it is to find people that are like, count me in,
Right. Right. I love that. And my fiance is in Colombia, and
Yeah.
during this quarantine had her birthday too. And I did a very similar thing too. I contacted all of her friends and put a 20-minute video together to surprise her. And it's personal. It doesn't cost. It just costs time, and it's so personal, and it's so much better than anything I could have given her. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just like with your mom, it's like you can't give her a physical present that would anywhere have the effect of what you did. You couldn't.
No.
What would that be? I couldn't even think of what that could be. You engaging people to share love for her that she loves. I mean, what a gift to everyone involved. Geez.
Yeah, especially as
Beautiful.
you get older. I'm like, I'm running out of gift ideas. I mean, the woman has everything that she could possibly have in her life, and half the time she's like, do you want this? So she's giving stuff to me. So if I give her a physical gift, which if I find something unique that I know she loves, she'll
Right.
cherish it. But there's something about giving people time and giving people something unique and that they can cherish that isn't maybe tangible. It's in a different way. It's gratitude, and it's time, and it's love. I mean, boom, that's what you need to give people first. And if you add on to that and you do a party or you do a cake or you bake something for someone or you know, have just share, take them to a movie or whatever we can do during the time when this actually is able to, when this does air and around my birthday. Those things are great, but it really just comes down to being grateful and sharing love. Love
Sharing
first.
love, yes.
Love
Yes.
first.
And those, you know, I mean, it's just an amazing thing because you got to surprise her. It's such a gift to surprise people. And that's the amazing thing when you do these the videos that we're talking about, they're not expecting that. And they don't know these people are about to pop up in front of you. It's a moment that will not be forgotten. You've curated something that is unforgettable and beautiful and simplistic.
The hardest part of it was I had to get my mom's husband on it. And I wasn't going to be able to get him alone in the room. So I was like, kind of like, you know, it was like a operation, get Herb to say something. And so I got them both on a like a FaceTime. And I'm like, so Herb, if it was Mom's birthday today, what would you tell her? You know, I'm just curious how you guys are doing. And I'm trying to be like really low. My mom was so on to me, but I don't think she knew what I was doing.
Right.
I was recording, but she had like makeup on. I'm like, oh, she knows I'm doing something. Cause she just kept looking at him. She's like, just tell Hilary how you feel about me. And I'm like, oh great, now I've got a line producer. It was the most hilarious thing because, you know, sometimes you just want to hear it. And I think it was really beautiful to witness that, like ask him the question and him share with her and look at her. And like I was recording and I'm like watching them. And there's so much more to the video. I probably should release her the outtakes.
Yeah. Oh, you should. I'm sure she'd love that.
It's like 10 minutes of my mom's husband like saying stuff. And I'm like, I can't use that. Like, you guys are being ridiculous. I mean, there was some stuff in there that was really funny that I did use, but being able to record them without my mom really knowing what I was doing was the hardest part. But then I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I don't care.
It's beautiful. It was beautiful. Fun. I love it. Oh.
They were ridiculous. Oh, man. Anyway.
Well, when you hear this in the future, I wanted to say happy birthday. I wanted to say hi to your mom, Bev, and thank you for sharing Bev with us. I loved all those stories. It was really, really beautiful. So thank you so much, and happy birthday, Hilary. Your future self is getting this.
And if I can say one more thing, as much as most of my gratitude, I mean, and we have an abundant space for gratitude in our lives, is definitely sharing my mom. I have to say, every person in my life, whether they're still with me or not, whether they have shared something positive or negative with me or not, whether they've left, you know, whatever they've left in my life is a lesson. So I'm grateful for every person that comes into my life. And all I can say is, for those of you out there that might be, you know, there might be situations that don't seem as positive, think about the lesson that person might be sharing with you. And even the person that you pass on the street, there's something you learn from someone, because it's all about connection. So be grateful every day for the people that cross your path. Whether they're there for a moment, you know, what is it, a moment, a lifetime? I forgot the saying, but whether they're there for like a brief moment in your life or they're there for your entire life, they all have a purpose.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I think that's a great place to end. And I'm Chris with Hilary. It's Gratitude Space Radio, and we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you.